So it's a $100,000 mortgage, and it's being amortized over 10, 15, or 20 years. That means just paid off. So amortized means paid off. Now, the question asks you for each case, 10, 15, or 20 years, but I'm lazy, so I'm only going to do the 10-year case. That also means it leaves you a bunch of room to do the 15, 20-year cases. Given quarterly payments, this is really odd for a home loan, but we're going to run with it, 4 payments a year. Obviously, it's going to be compounding quarterly. In any home loan question that you're asked to do algebraically, those things are going to add up, or going to match up. Interest rate, 8% per annum. So first step, they want us to calculate the quarterly payment for each loan. Remember, we're only doing that 10-1 here. So we need to write down our formula first of all. And we're finding the A value, we're finding the payment. We know the present value of the loan is $100,000. 1 minus R. Now to calculate R, I'm just going to go up here and do a little bit of scribbling. Now the interest rate is 8%, 0.08. It's quarterly, so I need to divide that by 4, and I need to add that to 1. So 1 plus 0.02. Thank you, Mary. 1.02 to the negative n. Now, quarterly payments for 10 years, 4 payments a year for 10 years, the n is going to be 40 here. Careful that you don't just put in the number of years. Careful that you don't just default to 12 or something like that. Actually read the question and think about what's going on. Now, 1 minus r, that's 1 minus 1.02. I can just write 0.02 here. So I'm trying to find A. This is all about like cross multiplication. So the 0.02 is going to come up to the top here. So it's going to be 100,000 divided by 0.02. Oops, that's bad. All right, trying again. That 0.02 comes up to the top. So it's 100,000 times 0.02. And then we're going to divide it by, because this is A times all of this rubbish can come down and divide. So 1 minus 1.02 to the power of negative 40. And all of that sits in brackets. That'll be our A value. Type that into your calculator and you'll get an answer. And repayments of 3656. There's probably some decimals in there. If you do this question, make sure you throw the decimals in, but I'm rounding because I'm lazy. Okay, so that's part 1 of a much larger question, finding the quarterly payment for each loan. So part 2 here, it says the total interest paid for each loan. Now obviously they're saying 10, 15, 20-year loans. I'm just going to do the 10-year loan, so we're only going to work through one section here. This is like 3 questions in one. Now this is super straightforward, and if you really stopped and thought about it for a moment, you could calculate it without any kind of formulas at all, and that's pretty much what we're going to do. The total interest paid for each loan. I'm making $3,656 quarterly payments. Now this is going to be a 10-year loan. So the total repayments, can't spell, so the total repayments is equal to 3,000, lost my pen, where'd it go? There it is. 3,656 times how many repayments there are. So 10 years for 40 repayments. Put that into your calculator and you'll get some number. You'll get 146,240. So they're the total repayments that you made. Now you didn't borrow $146,240. You borrowed $100,000. The question is the total interest paid for each loan. So you paid back the original $100,000 plus that. So total interest paid is equal to the total of your repayments minus the original mortgage. That's $46,240. That's how much interest you've paid. Now again, the question asks you to calculate this for 10, 15 or 20 years. what you'll find is if you're paying a mortgage off over a longer amount, each payment will be smaller. So if I'm paying $100,000 off over 15 years, it'll be smaller than this number. If I'm paying it off over 20 years, it'll be smaller again. But because I'm paying it off over a longer period of time, the total interest I pay would be larger. If we cheat and we scroll down to the answers, you can see that as this is the 10-year, this is the 15-year, this is the 20-year, the repayments are smaller, but the interest that you pay is much, much larger. So you can see over a 10-year loan, you'd pay $46,000 in interest, whereas over a 20-year loan, you pay more than double that. So pay it off over a shorter amount of time and you'll pay less interest. So the next bit here is a particularly interesting one for someone who owns a property and is paying off a loan. The amount still owing after 5 years, okay? For each loan, we're only going to do the 10-year loan, obviously. So the amount still owing. You borrowed $100,000 and you've been paying off your mortgage and you've been really good about it, but you're saying, right, I wonder how much I owe now. It's been 5 years. Usually the answer is pretty depressing because you're not paying off a lot. You're paying a lot of interest in the beginning, but you're paying off, so you're not really taking this down by a lot. It probably only goes down by a little bit. Now, let's use our formula because we are going to be able to essentially just put stuff straight into the formula. Okay, so present value equals A bracket 1 minus R to the negative N over, do this right, R minus 1. Now, the way to do this question is just to think of it conceptually a little differently. Your payments aren't going to change, and you've been paying it off for over 5 years. So you can kind of think of it as starting from scratch and asking yourself how much would a loan be at that point after 5 years? How much would the present value be at that point? So the payments don't change. The payments are the ones we calculated in the beginning. 3656. 1 minus R. Now R doesn't change. 1.02. What changes is these repayments. Now these repayments are the repayments that we have left to go. So we have a 10-year loan and we want to know how much is left after 5 years. So that means we have 5 years of payments left. So 5 times 4, that's 20 payments left. 0.02. Now, if you put that into your calculator, you should get a sweet number. Alright, so put that into your calculator. I tried it once and I stuffed it up, but the real answer is 59,744. Now, there is some interesting questions here. I'm going to do a little video when I go back at morning tea. And then once you've got that, you should have everything you need for home loans. Watch this video and the next video for homework, and then you should be able to do question 1 to 6. Thank you very much.